So I grew up in Christchurch, but I live in Auckland now. I work as a web designer. When I'm not working, I love being in the outdoors, so I'm always out hiking or rock climbing. So I have a bilateral high frequency hearing loss, which is sort of mild to moderate. When I was 15, I sort of started noticing that something wasn't quite right and that I was struggling with my hearing. So I went to my family doctor and sort of explained that I was struggling to hear things at school and at work. And he basically told me that I didn't have a hearing problem, I just wasn't listening hard enough because I was a teenager. So then I decided to have a hearing test at an audiologist, and they basically told me that I had the hearing of an old lady. I think I actually felt really validated when I got the diagnosis, because I think for a wee while I knew that something wasn't quite right, but then the people around me were just saying that it wasn't really a problem that I should be having because I was so young, so no one really believed me. But when I did get that diagnosis, it felt like I was being seen and that I was being heard. So after my diagnosis, I was referred into the public healthcare system in New Zealand, and I underwent a lot more hearing tests, a lot of testing for professionals to sort of figure out why I was hearing impaired and sort of what was wrong with me. And eventually, after 4 years of that, I finally got my hearing aids, which were funded. So I feel like when I got my hearing aids, I pretty much had like a 180-degree personality U-turn. So when I was in school and I had a hearing loss and didn't have hearing aids, I was so frustrated all the time. I was so angry. I just thought that was who I am as a person. I was constantly exhausted from day to day trying to hear what people were saying without the assistance of hearing aids. And then when I got my hearing aids, I was like, I really like spending time with people. I really like talking to people. It was just that hearing loss that meant that I was, expressing my personality in a completely different way. So I feel like my hearing aids have honestly had such a profoundly positive impact on my life, because I can now enjoy those things so much more. So my mum also has a hearing loss, and on my dad's side, a lot of my family members have tinnitus. So it was kind of interesting, my relationship with my mum. Because she's had hearing loss for so long, it really wasn't like a big deal for her. So when I was diagnosed, although it sort of felt like a big deal for me at the time, for her it was just like something she dealt with for so long, it really wasn't a big deal. So I think for a few years I tried to really just brush it under the rug and like not make a big deal out of anything. But when I got older, I feel like actually I wanted to make a bigger deal out of this, and I wanted to make it more of a part of my identity, and I wanted to sort of identify more as a hard of hearing person in New Zealand. So I've been learning New Zealand Sign Language for about 2 years now, and it has been an absolute game changer in helping me come to terms with my identity and feeling like a place of belonging and acceptance within the deaf community, and also having like an alternative way of communicating. So being able to communicate through sign as opposed to spoken word, I feel like I'm no longer held back by my hearing loss. If I could go back and speak to my younger self, I would tell her not to push that away and not to just brush my hearing loss under the rug and live my life as though I'm at full hearing. I would tell her to fully embrace hearing loss and to accept that as a part of my identity. If I had some advice to give to other teenagers that have just been diagnosed with hearing loss, I would let them know that it's okay and that there are other people like you around that you can talk to, and that you can still live a totally fulfilling and happy life with a hearing loss. So I feel like I am still on a journey with how I feel about, my identity as someone with hearing loss. Some days I wake up and I feel like I, can accomplish the world. And other days I feel like it really gets me down, but just knowing that that's okay as well. So knowing that, my perception of myself will still always be changing is okay. If I could go back and live a life of sort of full hearing, I honestly don't think I would do so. I feel like having hearing loss has, given me a gift in so many ways. I am far more empathetic as a person. Learning sign language has been incredible to involve myself in the deaf community, and it's really shaped me as a person, so I really wouldn't change that for the world.